go to the wrong one. It's going to go to the old one. But it'll be on your website. But you can change the. It'll be on YouTube. Here.
There's nobody on.
There's one person.
Be able to do it from your...
Cancel it on YouTube.
No, I think the other Patricia may sit here. Too much water, then you don't want to. Right. Yeah. 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 Good point. Yeah. So I'm just taking a little sip.
I mean, it's working on YouTube. YouTube is working.
I mean, so you're seeing this. Don't they see that then? Like, this is just
no,
yours.
because this is connected to the new
It's still eating chocolate, not joy.
So can we go look at the old link? Like, go to the Tri-Valley Cares page. Yeah, what does it look
Yeah,
like?
and I think it's because
No, not that page. Sorry.
This is the old link that doesn't, yeah, in a way that...
But it shows, but look, it shows that. And then they get it. So hopefully they'll see that.
I see.
If you don't mind.
I don't know. That's all we can do.
Yes, yeah. Find it.
So.
Is it the boss on you? We just sit in front of the shower. You are.
I know, yeah. Well,
This chair looks better. This chair, I was very
It's not until you put the weight on it.
yes, that's right. All right.
Yeah, dog looks like it's working just fine. Okay, thank you.
Things are working fine, yeah. He's a good dog.
Let's go a long walk over to where the car's parked, but it seems like everything's fine.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. You had to walk over there? Of course. Thank you. Hi. Today? Oh, no. On the farthest program. Your friend?
Hello, hello. How is the sound here? All right. Gathering, come on and either sit on the little fence or stand or have a seat in one of the chairs. We're going to start in just a minute. And now I'm going to test the other microphone.
She said,
Hello, hello. Is this microphone about the same as the other? All right. Can folks hear? All right. So we are gathering. Welcome to the remembrance on the 81st anniversary of the U.S. atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. As you will hear more about, we are gathered here today at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, which is one of 2 locations in the United States that designs every nuclear weapon in the U.S. stockpile. The other is Los Alamos in New Mexico, as you may know. So we are where nuclear weapons are being designed as we are here, in solidarity, in opposition, in joy, and in protest.
And did I introduce you? You met Mary Leah Kelly with Tri Valley Cares. I'm Jackie Cabasso with Western States Legal Foundation, and we'll be co-emceeing today. So let's get started. Thank you all for coming out.
let's do a couple housekeeping.
Housekeeping first, okay?
Housekeeping first and housekeeping often. If you're looking for the porta potty, it's right down there. Very important. All right, I won't. Okay, I can go ahead. If you are looking for information and looking for tables, they're right down there. You can get information from some of the wonderful groups that are here. We also have a table that has water, that has food, that has some basic medical supplies. The table closest to us has the sign-up sheet for those who know that they plan to risk arrest. Please do sign up. You'll hear this more than once because we want to make sure that we can keep track. If you are part of the media, there's a media table. Please go get a packet. So information, food, water, and packets are all over there. Just be careful.
And there is a program which has been handed out. If you haven't received one yet, you can pick it up on the table. And my lovely assistant, Karen Tapakin, has the green program, so please get one so you can follow along. So we're thrilled to have two of our movement's matriarchs in today's program, and I don't mean us. I'm talking about Patricia St. Anne and Patricia's
It's
are in
out.
the house. Yeah, Patricia's are in the house.
It's an iPhone.
Wow. First time I've been called a matriarch. I really like it.
Yeah, very picturesque.
It's my great honor now to introduce my dear friend Patricia St. Ange, who will give the land acknowledgement. Patricia of Haudenosaunee, that's Mohawk and Quebecois descent, and adopted Cheyenne River Lakota, is the founder of 7 Generations Consulting and Coaching, working primarily with social justice organizations. She's a mother, a grandmother, a storyteller, and a mentor. Patricia and her late life partner Wilson Riles co-emceed the annual Hiroshima-Nagasaki commemorations at Livermore Lab for many years. We miss Wilson, but we will always be guided by the vision and values he embodied throughout his life. We welcome Patricia, and we honor Wilson. Wilson Riles, presente.
Presente.
What is the song? The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. Welcome. Sego Sewaguego. Patricia Nikibikwatana Ikukpeshni Ichiwi Yungyas. Hi everybody, my name is Patricia. As my kids say, my government name is Patricia St. Ange, and I am of Mohawk. My ancestors are Mohawk and French Canadian. And about a decade ago, I was adopted into the Cheyenne River Lakota tribal community. And in Lakota, your life partner is called your half-side. So when they adopted me, they adopted Wilson because he was my half-side. And so he's here. He's very present since he died on May 5th. And it was a heartbreaking experience, and we also were pretty grateful to have 34 years together. So I know a lot of people don't have a life partner for 34 years. We supported each other in raising our kids. We became a blended family, which is a lot of work. But it was wonderful to do that with him. And so we honor him today and all of those who came before us. We started a consulting practice called 7 Generations Consulting, and it's really about honoring those who came before. So 7 Generations is a Mohawk notion. It's a principle, and it means that we honor those generations who came before us, and we are aware that the decisions that we make today will impact the 7 generations forward. And so when you think about why we're here today, it's to honor and express our gratitude to all of those who've worked to make the world a better place for the last 7 generations. And it's also to leave a gift and a way of being for the generations who will come after us. And so I want to welcome you And in Mohawk, we always have a phrase. It's a very interactive language, and I'm learning how to speak it, so it's not my first language. It's not even my second language. It's my third language. I was born in a French-Canadian Native American family, and so I didn't speak English till I started school. So, so we honor today those who came before us, those who will come after us. We honor our truest, most healthy selves. And we, Wilson was a Buddhist, and so and I don't know if this is Buddhist or not, but one of the things that we used to say to each other is that I greet the Creator in you. The Creator in me greets the Creator in you. And so we are all siblings here, and we are all related. And we begin each program in the Mohawk tradition with the words before all else, and they're words of gratitude. And we thank every being in the universe. And in the old school gatherings, that words before all else can last 10 days of gratitude. And so the few minutes that we have here to say them out loud represent the story of almost every culture, and every tradition has a space in it for gratitude. And so we send love and gratitude to all of our relations today. And that means, and now our words are one. To.
If either Jackie or I get too far from the mic and you can't hear us, please raise your hand to let us know. It's my true honor to introduce a friend of California at Berkeley. Join me in welcoming here today John Burroughs.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be asked to make a few remarks this morning. It's an honor to be asked to make a few, be a little dry, but I still think it's important. So let's suppose for a moment that reliance on nuclear arms by the US and other nuclear powers will produce so-called strategic stability for the rest of this century. That is, that there will be no nuclear war or war on a major scale between the nuclear powers. Is that a world we want to live in? A world where security depends on the potential for the devastation of entire societies? A world where we are supposed to live moral lives in the context of an immoral system of global security? My answer is no, and I'm sure it's your answer too. But it is a fantasy that reliance on nuclear arms. That can be demonstrated just by looking at today's conflicts. The Russian invasion of Ukraine in violation of the UN Charter was preceded by Putin's threat to resort to nuclear weapons should Western states intervene in support of Ukraine. Then, in the fall of 2022, it was credibly reported that the Biden administration believed that the Russian government was operationally moving toward the use of nuclear weapons. It is also true that the US attack on Iran also in violation of the UN Charter, has been accompanied by Trump's bluster about wreaking society-ending devastation on Iran, evoking the possibility of use of nuclear weapons. Whether or not his nuclear bluster was specific and credible enough to be considered a threat as a matter of international law, it certainly runs counter to the notion that use of nuclear weapons is out of the question. As we all know, nuclear deterrence involves the readiness to inflict massive devastation on other societies, even if targets are said to be military. It is planning and preparation for the commission of war crimes and crimes against humanity, and in some cases, crimes against peace. Crimes against peace concern aggressive war. The use of nuclear weapons to initiate an aggressive war would certainly be a crime against peace. But there is a good case that the first use of nuclear weapons by a state defending itself would be so escalatory and disproportionate as to be a crime against peace. Of course, Nazi officials were convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity. They were also convicted of the crime against peace of waging aggressive war, including planning for the war that was carried out. This was done in accordance with the Nuremberg principle of individual responsibility. Individuals, not only states, can be held accountable for the commission of international crimes. A broader view that I and we have been espousing for decades now, a broader view of the Nuremberg principle of individual responsibility is that citizens like ourselves are acting in accordance with that principle when they take responsibility for preventing nuclear war. That can be done in many ways. One is today's protest. So reliance on nuclear arms by the United States and other states means that the world is in a state of risk, immorality, and illegality. I could add sin also. The imperative is to end that state of affairs. 30 years ago, on July 8, 1996, the International Court of Justice released its advisory opinion on the legality of threat or use of nuclear weapons. The court found nuclear threat or use to be generally illegal, especially because such use cannot be reconciled with core principles of international humanitarian law, forbidding the infliction of indiscriminate harm and unnecessary suffering. The court was clear that if a use of weapons is illegal, the threat of such use is illegal. However, the court did not address all circumstances of nuclear use and did not assess nuclear deterrence. But the court unquestionably recognized the state of at least potential illegality involved in reliance on nuclear arms. So the court concluded its opinion with an analysis of something it was not asked: the nature of the nuclear disarmament obligation rooted in Article 6 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and importantly, and in UN General Assembly resolutions, unanimous resolutions going back to the 1950s. And the court gave a very strong interpretation of the obligation, finding that the obligation is to pursue in good faith and conclude negotiations on nuclear disarmament, the complete elimination of nuclear weapons. There have been other important efforts to move the world out of the state of risk, immorality, and illegality. In NPT review conferences beginning in 1995, non-nuclear weapon states extracted commitments from the nuclear weapon states, such as reducing the role of nuclear weapons and engaging in verified reductions leading to elimination. If they had been implemented, which they have not been, the commitments would have brought the world much closer to the elimination of nuclear weapons by now, if not all the way there. In 2017, non-nuclear weapon states negotiated the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. 100 states are now signatories, not including, however, any nuclear-armed states. Whether the TPNW will serve as a vehicle for the nuclear-armed states to accomplish the elimination of nuclear weapons is open to doubt, in my opinion. They probably would create the field. Without question, though, the TPNW is a marvelous statement of the principles that should motivate and guide the achievement of a world free of nuclear weapons. If you have not already done so, read the treaty. It's only about 10 pages. The first review conference of the TPNW will be held late this year. We are currently living in a world of conflict, and especially under Trump, the U.S. has turned away from the multilateralism that reached its peak in the 1990s with the Chemical Weapons Convention and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The reality is, however long it takes, the reality is that nuclear abolition, probably in conjunction with other arms control and with changes in global governance, is by far the best way to address the risks, immorality, and illegality of reliance on nuclear arms. That's why it's important we're here, and thank you for being here.
So before I introduce our next speakers, I would like to greet and welcome those folks who are watching us online. Due to the miracle of modern technology, we don't know how many of you are out there, but we're glad you're there, and a recording will be available on YouTube in the future if you'd like to take a look at it. So it's my pleasure now to introduce the dynamic duo, Tanvi Cardle and Anushka Raj from Tri-Valley Cares. Tanvi will speak on the current nuclear weapons activities of the lab, including the government's recent decision to increase the lab's plutonium shipment and usage. Tanvi is the Nuclear Policy Program Director at Tri-Valley Cares with a degree in International Security from San Diego State University and a JD from the University of San Diego School of Law. She also is, I believe, outgoing president of the Alliance for Nuclear Accountability, a nationwide network of nuclear watchdog groups located in communities with nuclear sites, of which Tri-Valley Cares is a member. Anushka Raj will cover the environmental justice, health, and pollution issues of the Livermore Lab. She is Tri-Valley Cares Environmental Project Manager with a master's degree in environmental engineering from Stanford University and a focus on human health and the environment. Anushka brings both an academic foundation and practical experience in addressing environmental challenges, with an equity-driven approach. So apparently I wasn't standing close enough to the microphone. I'm not going to repeat all of that. I'll just say that Tanvi will speak on the current nuclear weapons activities at the lab, and Anushka will cover the environmental justice, health, and pollution issues at the lab. And they're going to do this all in 12 minutes.
All right.
Hi everyone, can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. Thanks for being here today. My name is Tanvi, and thank you Jackie for that introduction. I'm going to talk a bit about the nuclear weapons at the lab. So this year's budget request for the lab is staggering, $3.2 billion, which is the highest it's ever been, with nearly 90% of the lab's budget going for nuclear weapons activities, which is around $2.8 billion, up 8% over last year's request. The lab is positioning itself both as the primary new nuclear warhead research and design lab and as the production coordinator of those warheads. With 3 new nuclear weapons and 1 life extension program, all in various stages of development at the lab in fiscal year 2027, this budget request highlights the extent of the lab's commitment to nuclear weapons forever. The lab is the lead design for the W-87-1 warhead that will sit atop the new Sentinel intercontinental ballistic missile. With a budget of over $188 million, the W-87-1 will need all new plutonium pits, which are the explosive bomb cores of nuclear weapons. In addition, the lab is also the lead design lab for the W-80-4 warhead life extension program for the Sentinel, this new Sea-launched cruise missile, for which over $68 million is requested, putting nuclear weapons on attack-class submarines for the first time in decades. Livermore Lab is also going to be involved in pit production support work through NNSA's pit production program at Los Alamos Lab in New Mexico and Savannah River Site in South Carolina. NNSA's programmatic environmental impact statement on plutonium pit production, which was tasked with analyzing the plan's nationwide impacts, fails to include analysis of potential impacts of plutonium pit support work at Livermore Lab. We had a great campaign comment period on this, so thank you to everyone who submitted comments. We really appreciate everyone's work on this. I thought Tri-Valley Cares and other Alliance for Nuclear Accountability groups did an amazing job across the country, just mobilizing the communities to comment. So just give yourselves a round of applause for that. Tri-Valley Cares, along with other organizations such as Sierra Club National, members of Congress such as Congressman Garamendi, submitted comments on the draft PEIS. So we're really, really happy about that. Just asking for more clarity on the project. So just stay tuned for any more updates. We're gonna let you all know when the final comes out, any more advocacy that we can all do, so just stay posted on our website. We'll make sure to send out many emails, but we're really, really happy with the efforts on this comment period. However, the federal government is failing to release crucial documents relevant to pit production that communities need to be made aware of, these being the newest Jason report on plutonium pit aging, and DOE's special assessment on plutonium pit production, which is assumed to show failures of the plan. So once again, stay tuned for any updates that we get on these. The lab is also going to be involved in enhanced plutonium utilization. So the lab's enterprise plutonium pit production support work will more than double in the upcoming year to over $166 million. This work is the primary driver for its proposed enhanced plutonium utilization. The lab announced in 2025 its proposal to enhance plutonium utilization, showing its intent to increase the centrality of nuclear weapons activities to its mission and repositioning itself as a full-service nuclear weapons lab despite any potential security concerns. So in May, Livermore Lab and NNSA quietly posted a simultaneous record of decision and final environmental impact statement approving enhanced plutonium utilization at the lab. No draft EIS was ever publicly circulated, and no public hearing on the draft plan occurred due to President Trump's executive order to expedite energy projects, even though this isn't an energy project, and get rid of regulations under the National Environmental Policy Act, which has historically required draft EISs with opportunities for public comment. This EIS, effective immediately, greenlights the most significant changes in plutonium work at Livermore Lab since 2008, when the lab failed security drills and was compelled to downsize its plutonium usage, storage, and transportation by 2012. The new EIS and record of decision reveal a major increase in plutonium work and raise the amount of plutonium throughput at the lab. The new decision codifies that there will be 180% increase in the number of plutonium shipments in and out of the lab, a 400% increase in transuranic nuclear waste, 6.6% increase in the dose to transportation crews, 21% increase in latent cancer fatalities in the populations along the transportation route, and a 27% increase in the collective worker dose from radiological emissions. So these are all very scary and daunting statistics. Unfortunately, NNSA and Livermore Lab ignored many of our and the public scoping comments and questions. We asked for clarification on the extent to which the plan to enhance plutonium utilization is for pit production support work, but the final EIS provides no new information. It also provides no information on the amount of plutonium that's going to be in the lab or being transported as well. This momentous change is not happening in a vacuum. It's part of an overarching scheme to vastly increase funding for new nuclear warheads and to reinstate industrial-level plutonium pit production, all of which is slated to manufacture new plutonium cores for new nuclear weapons that will be placed in the stockpile for possible use in a nuclear war. The lab also has expansion plans. In 2024, Livermore Lab concluded its 15-year planning review in a site-wide EIS for continued operations. So by 2040, the lab plans to construct 75 new facilities totaling 3.3 million square feet. Many of these buildings will be conducting 60,000 square foot next generation life extension program research and development fabrication building to work on new nuclear warheads, including at Site 300, which was previously proposed in the 1990s. But at that time, Site 300 was determined to be an inappropriate location due in part to HSF's associated hazards and the proximity of the public. Additional new facilities at Site 300, including a weapons test facility and a new accelerator bay and support bunker expansion, among others. Other new projects at the lab's main site include a new engineering shop support facility, a new nuclear science center, a new high bay, a new classified lab, and more. These are all directly related to new nuclear weapons activities. Specific to NIF and related weapons research, the proposed action includes a new high energy density support facility and a future NIF laser expansion. Deregulation is also occurring all around, not just the National Environmental Policy Act, but the Defense Nuclear Facility Safety Board as well. Currently, with just one member on the board, the DNFSB lacks a quorum to be able to give recommendations to DOE on safety and public health risks at defense nuclear facilities. DNFSB is now suspending publication of many regular reports, such as site inspections on DOE operations. They're denying access to DOE records, meetings, and staff concerning safety. We do have some policy priorities that I will end on that we're working on in the upcoming year. We're opposing lab expansion, we're advocating for a funding cut for the W87-1, and we're advocating for, we're opposing the resumption of nuclear testing. We have been supporting some bills in Congress and the Senate, such as the No Nuclear Testing Act and the Restraint Act. We've been meeting with representatives in DC and virtually as well to get them to co-sponsor these. So we really encourage you all to talk to your representatives, talk to senators, get them to co-sponsor these bills as well. So we really appreciate that call to action from you all, and thank you all for being here. I know that was a pretty gloomy talk. Anushka is going to take over and talk about cleanup now.
That is also gloomy. You set me up here, Tanvi. Hi everyone, I'm Anushka. I'm the Environmental Programs Manager at Tri-Valley Cares. Tanvi talked about the expansion of Livermore Lab's nuclear weapons mission and some of the ways that federal oversight is being weakened at the lab as we speak. I kind of want to bring this closer to home and talk about what it means for people who live and work around these sites and for a cleanup that is already many decades old. Livermore Lab is clearly not a remote nuclear facility. At the main site, homes and apartments come right up to its perimeter, and the lab's own environmental analysis places one of its public receptors only 35 meters outside the eastern boundary. Its own analysis projects that more than 8 million people live within 50 miles of this very site. And then there is Site 300, the lab's high explosives testing range near Tracy. Site 300 is often described in government documents as a remote test site, but today the Tracy Hills development directly borders its eastern boundary. A state park and its campground are just across Coral Hollow Road. So when the government changes radiation standards or lessens environmental protections, we need to remember who lives on the other side of those decisions. One change that we are watching very closely is the federal radiation protection standards. For decades, radiation protection has relied on the ALARA principle, which stands for as low as reasonably achievable. The DOE leadership right now has moved towards eliminating ALARA from all its regulations and directives, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has proposed doing the same in its regulations. For communities that are near nuclear facilities and for radiation workers, this is a very significant change. If an exposure can be reduced reasonably, we believe that it should be reduced. Tri-Valley Cares has gone through publicly reported radiation releases from the lab, going all the way back to 1960s, and added them together. They total more than 1 million curies of radiation released into the environment. The main site was placed on the EPA's Superfund list in 1987. Site 300 was added to this list in 1990. Decades later, both of these are still Superfund sites. One of our main concerns is that we still have no final date when the overall cleanup for either of these sites would be finished. Tanvi talked about the overall budget of the lab increasing, and I want to add one more number about the cleanup and where that falls in this budget. For the 2027 budget, only about 1.9 million of Livermore's specific defense environmental cleanup account, which is just 0.06% of the lab's total requested budget. So very, 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 very small number. The government knows how to set deadlines and how to find money to build 75 new buildings, but the communities around here deserve the same urgency when it comes to cleaning up the contamination that they leave behind. Site 300 is another example of why our oversight matters so much. Earlier this year, we urged the lab to organize a community Superfund site tour so that residents could see these cleanup areas and ask questions to lab employees. Our tour had to be reduced because open air blasting was taking place that day at that time, which meant that portions of the site could not be visited. So people who were specifically there to learn about the environmental consequences of decades of nuclear weapons activity at Site 300, even their ability to see the cleanup, people who work inside these facilities. More than 3,000 former Livermore lab employees have filed federal claims for illnesses that they believe resulted from exposure to radiation and toxic chemicals on the job. And Livermore is just a very small part of this story. More than around 150,000 former nuclear workers across the country have applied through the Federal Occupational Illness Compensation Program from Livermore, Los Alamos, Hanford, Savannah River, Oak Ridge, and many other sites. Many of the protections that workers have today exist because previous generations were exposed and their risks were acknowledged and controlled. This should make us very concerned about weakening our protections right now. I want to end on a more positive note and discuss its most recent renewal application was submitted last year, and we've been told public participation is not expected for another 2 years. So we are asking the lab what happens during that what is contaminated, what is being done, and what remains unresolved. So yeah, please stay connected with us. Look for our permit, our cleanup alerts, our community guide. Come to our meetings, submit public comments, and ask difficult questions. We really value your continued support and participation. Thank you.
May I just say, can you hear me?
Yes.
With the youth, the work is in good hands. Let's sing root, root, root to the next generation. Now, I get to introduce Vision for a Nuclear-Free Opens for Peace and Justice, a specialist in internment policy. And I need to be, oh, Grace, you're going to have to be really loud because I'm being told to be louder and I'm loud. Okay, I see. Talk to the middle of the mic. Okay, thank you. Grace is, I said a specialist in internment policy, but I want to repeat that louder. Please welcome Grace Morizawa.
Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm Leah and Jackie, too. It's really an honor to be here and speaking to you. Can you hear me? Yes. Great. Louder. Louder? Okay, I'll step closer. I know you're supposed to. I was a school principal, and we always used to tell the kids, just imagine you're eating an ice cream cone. Yummy. So, I'm going to talk story a little bit. In 1973, that was the end of my first year of teaching, I took my little savings and I went to Japan. I was like any other Sansei at that time. I was seeking my identity and I was looking for my heritage. Her parents, my grandparents, were insecure about whether they could live in the U.S. They didn't know if they could make it. They faced a lot of prejudice. There were lots of laws. You know, the longer they stayed, there were more laws restricting their freedom. So she left and never returned. And when I got there in 1973, she was in her 70s, and I was the first person from her family as a descendant, you know, of her parents who she had seen. It was so moving to see her. She told me that every day she drank coffee and had toast because she was American. Except she called it pan. That's what they call it in Japanese. Well, one day we went to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. And I'm not going to talk about the memorial. I don't think our imaginations, what we know is enough to know about the horror of that museum that they were depicting with artifacts and photos. But they were also sending a message for peace. Every place, there were messages from people all over the world talking about peace. And this was the first memorial that was built. It was August, and that white building kind of gleaming in the August 30 years ago when the bomb dropped. But the skies were blue and clear, and there was no B-29 flying above. And then except she kept saying, black rain, black rain, black rain, looking up over and over again. Well, our family lost 2 cousins, many neighbors, and later another cousin died of radiation. Her life was changed forever, just as every life, every living thing on earth changed forever. I grew up knowing about the bomb. We didn't have to huddle under desks that maybe some of you did, or go out in the hall and curl up in a bomb. We didn't have that fear and force over and over again, and maybe we should have kept doing it, but we didn't have that. We were in Eastern Oregon and didn't think the bomb would bother to drop on us. We were in God-forsaken high desert, not a likely target. I grew up knowing about the bomb because every so often my mom would pack sugar, salt, Spam, maybe some jam, and she'd wrap it all up in rice bags, the cloth from that they used to have rice bags, and send it to my aunt's family in Japan. And she'd explain to me, well, they lost everything. They were, there was an atomic bomb. So I grew up knowing that, and I can just see my mother wrapping those things. It was all she could do. It was a really hard time in the 50s for Japanese. They were just coming out of the incarceration camps. So, and they were still struggling to make it. I grew up knowing about the bomb because our little Japanese community every August would have a service, a memorial service at the community hall, and they would share stories about their friends, their relatives, and they would share a gratitude that we were at peace and a wish for peace. So all of this was in broken English, and Japanese, and I hardly spoke Japanese, but somehow I got a lot of education from going to the events year after year. And when I was a teenager, Reverend Hirata, our sensei, and he told us that when he was a boy, he was from Hiroshima, right? And he was out on school holiday. His home, it was all vanished. But there he was, and he was saying, I have gratitude. I have gratitude for my life, and I'm grateful that I'm able to tell you this story. So this is how I grew up knowing about the bomb. And our Japanese community really understood the tragedy of war. My parents were incarcerated because of Roosevelt's executive order 9066, because there was so much based on, I'm doing all this work, based on the fact that even though the Justice Department was saying it's unconstitutional, the War Department was saying they're dangerous. The Japanese in the community are dangerous. But they weren't. He already had all these reports saying they weren't. He could read the paper and see that they weren't. But nevertheless, he based that decision thinking if he didn't incarcerate the Japanese, the Democrats would lose the next election. And after the war was over, he already foresaw that the war would be over. He didn't want to be like Wilson and start a peace organization that would fail because there wasn't the political will to get it going. And then, my father is from LA. Somehow they met. But as they were leaving, and this is another thing that happened. Of course you all know this. I'm just telling you my personal story. In 1944, the president said there's no more exclusion area. People can go back in December to their homes on the West Coast. They knew the war was over. They knew that, of course, the Japanese were no threat to security, but nonetheless, when Truman came in, he was only in for like 4 months, and he decided to drop the bomb, knowing that it was a weapon of mass destruction. Knowing, or maybe he didn't have enough foresight, or he thought it would end all wars, but nonetheless, in 43 seconds, a city was destroyed, and thousands of lives, first in Hiroshima and then Nagasaki, were gone. So for Japanese Americans and the 125 other people, besides my parents, who were incarcerated, they knew the tragedy of war, bookended by their incarceration and by the dropping of the bombs. Many of our families were from Fukuoka, where Nagasaki is, I think, and from Hiroshima. Okay, are you asking yourself, why am I talking about myself? Are you thinking that this is a moment of great uncertainty with a leadership with no moral fiber? You might be thinking, we don't have a bilateral treaty with Russia anymore. It ended in February, and there seems to be no will to reinstitute that or work to it. Maybe Jackie or Marilia know more. You also might be thinking there are two nuclear powers, us and Russia, that started 2 wars that seem to be going on, and they keep threatening. The threat of nuclear war seems more real than ever. China and France, and we just heard what was happening here in the U.S., are increasing the size of their stockpiles, and probably Israel too. And all the armed states are spending billions to upgrade their arsenals. Just as I have my story, I imagine all of you have stories. We can see these stories of resilience, of people doing tiny things every day, educating. We can see these stories as a vision for peace everywhere when we take the time to look. We remember Daniel Ellsberg. We're going to remember him again today with Patricia, who is a truth teller, who spoke up for nuclear non-proliferation through his entire life. There are children in the world thinking about peace and drawing their dreams of unity and peace, like this drawing. Jackie brought back, I enlarged it, so I hope you can see it, brought back this drawing of kids who entered a peace contest sponsored by the city of Hiroshima. And it shows people from all nations holding hands and being together with the sun and a rainbow beaming down on them. That's their vision. They have a vision for peace. I think about my friend June Hamamoto, who has been teaching at San Quentin for over 20 years, and she's been teaching people to make origami cranes. And through this simple act of folding, they found peace and a freedom and spirit. And every year they make cranes to hang on the peace tree that's in Grace Cathedral. I think of my friends Kei Yatabe and Jerry Honda, who have been hosting the hibakusha for annual checkups for the last 50 years, all of their adult lives. Takio Mamoto, who I think spoke here once, is in my writing class. He's 97, and he wrote about leaving the Japanese Naval Academy at age 14. That's how desperate they were for men to fight. He was inducted at age 14, and he witnessed the bombing of Hiroshima 12 miles away. So he was walking home from Hiroshima 5 days later. I'm going to read to you what he wrote. We are all carrying heavy bundles on our shoulders. There are no street lights, not any light whatsoever as we walk through Hiroshima City. From Port of Cor, it took us a few hours to get to the train station. The station structures were gone. We were exhausted and tired. We all unloaded our bundles on the ground and slept on the ground. I woke up early in the morning and it was still dark. I was surprised that the Japanese railroad system was running. When we were able to see, we saw complete destruction of the city. Afterwards, people asked me whether I noticed the damages caused by the atomic bomb blasting. My answer had been, I really could not distinguish the damages caused by the incendiary air raids and the damages caused by the atomic bomb. Both damages were complete destruction. I couldn't tell the difference. I later found out that more people died in a minute in Hiroshima than any other air raid earlier. Pat has spent his whole life standing up for peace, marching along with you, protesting war and injustice. He even went to Fukushima to work and cook meals for people there. I think about our friend, Phyllis Olin, who doggedly pursued the Berkeley City Council, the commissions, the planning committee for 2 years? Or maybe 2.5 years, Phyllis, to get a street name for Daniel Ellsberg. 3.5 years. She went and called, went to meetings, presented, and she just told me she found out the signs are going up soon. This week. Yeah. Kittredge, on Kittredge Avenue. Yeah. And of course, I think of our mayor in Berkeley, Adina Ishii, who is one of the mayors who updated the Mayors for Peace, which is a group of over 8,500 cities who made this declaration for peace. On behalf of the Mayors for Peace, we hereby declare once again that together with all peace-seeking people around the world, we will make every effort to achieve lasting global peace and create a world free from nuclear weapons. Right here, we've heard from Tri-Valley Cares. Leah and Jackie have not been spoken. Years of being a watchdog so that we know what's happening. And Robert Gould, who's been always telling us about the health effects of what's been happening, and there are many others. That Kim Vest, as all these activities we heard, the arms race is still going on. So vision is important. We have to have a vision of non-proliferation and no wars. So let's take a moment. I want to take a moment. I don't know how much time I have, but I'll give you 2 minutes to turn to the person next to you and talk about what you've done, what your vision is, and what keeps you coming here year after year. That vision is really important, so please share it with the person next to you. Maybe in groups of 2 or 3. Thank you.
Try to figure out how we get the future without any direct action. So I try to come every year. I live in San Francisco. Where do you guys live? Berkeley. Yeah, I didn't live in San Francisco. I live in Berkeley. The alternative is again.
I know, children, right? For the sake of the children. All right, you probably didn't get a chance to talk that way much, but I see you're still talking. All right, so maybe you think vision is corny, that we're in drastic times. But I'm here to tell you what you see. I want to say, I'm not saying don't scream. These are times to scream. And don't march for peace. March, pound your feet in the ground. I myself am really proud to be a member of Tudu for Solidarity, that is organizing. We're doing a lot of work against detention, and we're also organizing about the war. We all need to get out there. So thank you. Bye.
And one of the great groups with material on the table, when you're able, is Suru for Solidarity.
And Grace, I have to say, I have known you for 25 years. We've worked closely together. You're on our board. I'd never heard that story before. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So now we are in for another treat. We are going to have a very special musical interlude featuring Iwa taiko drummers led by Greg Wada. So please turn your attention to Iwa Taiko.
And stand up if you want to. a second when Scott gets done talking while we pass the buckets, because we are actually at the point of the most important speaker of the day, the one who will help make sure that our witness continues into the future. And I'm talking about the one, the only, the truly amazing Executive Director now at Tri-Valley Cares, Scott Yunt.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start by just saying, how many people have been here 20 or more times? Raise your hand. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's amazing. And how about 10 or more times? All right, and who here, this is their first time coming to this event? Awesome, welcome. Thank you for coming. So glad to have you here. I wanted to start with that because this event and many, many others like it around the country and around the world are really part of a movement. And it's really crucial that we keep this going. As I said, there's events like this that happen around the country and including at most other nuclear weapons sites today. So people are gathering near Los Alamos, near Oak Ridge Lab in Tennessee, near lab being so important to the nuclear weapons stockpile, doesn't get a lot of feedback, the folks inside, that what they're doing in there is controversial. And I've actually represented more than 200 employees who are ill and applying for benefits. And there's more than 3,200 who have applied. And almost every one of those employees, when I said I worked at Tri-Valley Cares, responded with, oh, you guys are the ones who come on Hiroshima Day outside the gate. And it's the only time they get any notice that their work is controversial or that there are people out there opposing the work done right here at Livermore Lab. And it is crucial that we continue to show up and show that we oppose the work being done here. And this work, this event, has organizers who've been doing it for those 20, 30 years. So thank you to them, but also there's a new generation who we're trying to keep this going. And that takes funding. This event costs some money, and although we volunteer a lot of the time, and many of us who are organizing it volunteer, we got to get the porta potty here, we got to rent these chairs, we got to pay for the amazing taiko drummers. Thanks again, taiko drummers, for coming. I'm so pleased that we have a slate of amazing co-sponsor organizations. I wanted to just give them a shout out. Asian Americans for Peace and Justice, Ecological Options Network, Ecumenical Peace Institute, the Friar O'Donnell Social Justice Committee, Fresno Center for Nonviolence, the Las Vegas Catholic Worker, Livermore Conversion Project, Nevada Desert Experience, No Nukes Action, Peace and Freedom Party, Sacramento Area Peace Action, Bay Area Physicians for Social Responsibility, the Pacific Life Community, Tri-Valley Cares, Veterans for Peace East Bay Chapter, Western States Legal Foundation, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the Interfaith Peace Project, and the Green Party of Alameda County, who, by the way, will be hosting Jackie and I for a webinar on Sunday at 5. If you want to tune into that, you can find a link on the Green Party of Alameda County website. But we also depend on lots of individual donors to support this event. So Tri-Valley Cares intern Nuha back there and Anushka and Tanvi are going to pass around a bucket now. Please reach deeply into your pocket and support this event so we can keep doing it until this place changes its mission to civilian science and peace priorities, or closes down and turns into an amusement park, something different. So let's keep this going for as long as we can. And thanks again for coming out. Keep coming. There's also a gathering on Good Friday. It really matters. They know about it inside. They hear about it, and that's an important aspect of it. So thanks again. I'll pass it on to Mary Leah.
I'm just gonna underscore Scott's invitation to pull out your wallet, pull out your checkbook. If we have more buckets, if you would like to be a passer of buckets, just let folks know. And let's enjoy a couple minute interlude while we do that. Again. And I actually want to just call out that since we don't have the most expensive poles, that we have two wonderful people who volunteer to hold them the entire time. Let's give them a little love. And I've also been handed a note from Pax Christi, Northern California, about an event Sunday, August 9th, and so I'll just tell you that look for that on the table along with all the other great information and events. And now, it is my turn again, and this is a pure joy. Do we have amazing people? We're a community together, and we all bring amazing skills, and just the people who we're able to have and all of your skills, let's just honor it. And I would like to introduce Patricia Ellsberg. Woo! Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I'll let you guys anticipate Patricia while we introduce another wonderful person.
Good thing there are two of us.
It takes a village.
So our final speaker before Patricia Ellsberg is Father Thomas Bonacci, Father Tom as he wants us to call him, yes? And he will speak on the moral questions posed by nuclear weapons. Father Tom is a Passionist priest who has ministered in the Diocese of Oakland since 1990. He is a graduate of St. John's University, New York City, and the founder of the Interfaith Peace Project of Contra Costa County and director of the Interfaith Center in Antioch. Father Tom conducts interfaith seminars for the School of Applied Theology in Oakland and the Interfaith Chaplaincy School in Berkeley. Please give a warm welcome to Father Tom.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Very good. Well, this has been a very inspirational morning, hasn't it? I have a talk that I composed. It's in my briefcase. If you would like a copy of it, please email me. But I decided to let it go. Because in listening to the speakers this morning and being in your presence, my heart is moved. So I'd like to share with you what thoughts are in my mind and soul and heart right now for a few minutes. In 1946, a Catholic priest by the name of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin wrote an essay on the atomic bomb. And interestingly enough, in that essay, he left out the question of morality and ethics. And was overwhelmed with the technology, the science of humanity. Poor Teilhard compared the explosion to God creating light and suggested that we have harnessed energy for God. You could say that Teilhard was an optimist, that somehow or another technology would be for human benefit and for the benefit of all peoples. And I wish that were true. To speak of the ethics of mass destruction, to entertain the morality of what we're talking about today, not only would you have to lose your mind, you would have to lose your heart. You'd have to lose your soul. Think about it. The temptation is to stand before you today and say, there are 6 moral principles that guide the ethical development of the human person. Don't you just want to hear those? When all you need to do is look at one photograph of the destruction that this kind of technology does. You need a principle? You need to go to school? You need a course in ethics? If someone harmed your baby, would you have to go get a philosopher? Would you need to go to school and get 7 abstract principles? All you would need to do is to look at the pain in that child's face, to look at the anguish in that mother's heart. And something within you would tell you something. I understand that we can be deeply impressed with the light of the sun. We can be deeply impressed with the light that shines from an atomic explosion. But there are great philosophers through the world, and one of which you know, who said something like this: let the light in your heart shine, that people might see the good things that you do and give praise to your God who is in heaven. There's an inner light. I can't prove this, but that inner light is stronger and more forceful than any destruction that humankind can invent technologically. There's nothing going on the other side of that fence that's more powerful than what's going on in your heart and soul right here, right now. We now live in a society where people define what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be an American by their ability to hurt, destroy, insult, and eliminate. And I don't know about you, but they come across to me as weak, impoverished in heart, and not someone to follow, but people to pity. No pun intended, but I can't help but thinking of the Psalm. I think it's 156, 56:7, verse 7. They dug a pit. Talk about pits. They dug a pit, they invented a pit and fell into it. The one thing we know about people who worship violence, people who worship destruction, and people who worship power with no constraints is that it's self-destructive. It's murderous. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if I need 7 principles. I don't know if I need to look up in a book. I don't know if I have to go to a library and research the ethics. All I have to do is look at the results of such power and what happens to the children. What happens to the women? What happens to the soldiers? What happens to the people in the street? With all of our technology, with all of our ability, with all our self-proclaimed grandiosity about our power and wisdom, we blow up schools and kill little girls. And the destruction goes on, and we keep on doing it. You would think that once one little girl died, we would stop and step back and say, what are we doing? That's that inner light, the light of wisdom. It's stronger than anything that's being developed on the other side of that fence. Stronger than the light of the sun. When I was a little boy, I did something stupid. My mother said to me, Tommy, reflect on that for a moment. Think about that. She didn't hit me, she didn't insult me, she didn't exercise power. She invited me to my heart. I don't think I should ever do that again, Mom. That's my son. What would happen if we spent half the money on helping people of the world build schools, roadways, clean water, and food? Do you need an ethical principle? You need to read a book? You need 9 guidelines to come from the sky? What is the common sense in your heart? Mother Earth says to you today, what are you doing? Can you see what's happening right in front of you? In the great Hebrew Bible, in Jeremiah, it is said that God will write a law in your heart, a wisdom in your heart. How many more children need to die? How many more soldiers need to be maimed? How many more people need to be hated? How many more nations need to be rejected? The powerful that can kill people with their bombs and their attitude are afraid of diversity. afraid of equity, afraid of equality, and afraid of the one thing we're doing here today, inclusion. So, my beloved community, take all the love that's in your heart and release it to the world. Take all the hope that's in your soul and release it to the world. Live the dream, embrace the love, and never be afraid of the wisdom that is within you. And I'll leave you with this thought. Right now in our country, we are being tempted to believe that the only thing worthwhile doing is that which benefits you. The only thing worthwhile doing is that which makes a lot of money. The only thing worthwhile doing is that which gives a lot of power. But you and I know something. We do the right thing not because it's successful. We do the right thing not because it's profitable. We do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I'm willing to die in the cause of what is right, good, just, and beautiful. Long before I'm willing to kill in the name of what is revengeful, hateful, and spiteful. Blessings to you, blessed community, for this today and every day. Let the light that's in your heart shine forth into the world. Be at peace. Love you.
On the shady side. If you're feeling a little warm, let me recommend the shady side. If you're fine, stay where you are. Go to this, not the shady side that way.
Microphone.
So now is the proper time to tell you that Patricia Ellsberg will deliver the call to action. Patricia is a social change activist, a meditation teacher, a life coach, and a public speaker. I will tell you that Dan told me that Patricia was the beacon as a peace activist. Patricia helped her husband Dan release the Pentagon Papers, a top secret history of U.S. involvement in Vietnam, which helped end the Vietnam War. And for those of us here today who've known Patricia and who knew Dan until his passing, we know them as stalwart, amazing forces for good and for peace. Welcome, Patricia.
I don't think I have to say a word, or better if I don't.
Oh yeah, you do.
But what I want to say is this has been a fantastic program. The taiko drummers are so moving. I mean, the energy, that's the energy we need here, and we have it. And it's going to change the world. It's so powerful. And the program was so amazing. And Tri-Valley Cares and all the participants, thank you. And really, Dan is here, my husband. I can feel his presence. And he loved to get arrested. I've never seen him happier than getting dressed to go get arrested. He wears, bureaucratic clothes from the past, and then be so happy to putting his body on the line. And what he said to me was so touching. He said, the people that put their bodies on the line or support people that put their bodies on the line, get arrested, care enough to come out here today, that's my community. And that is the beloved community. bless everyone here. And such beautiful presentations. I'm so moved. So I've got the call to action. And I've been given very explicit directions. But before that, just to say that there's an invitation for a film of my husband, an interview done about the nuclear dangers, the last film I think he made, as far as I know. And it's going to be playing on Sunday night. There's information at the table, and also on Monday night. So it's worth seeing. And it must have been a long interview, but Judy Ehrlich made it just a half an hour. And finally, the call to action. This is a moment that deserves getting arrested. It deserves lying down on the street and experiencing for those 5 minutes that we're going to lie down and be quiet, just in our imagination, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the bomb. And it's so moving to be part of it. So I'm just going to go through the scenario. A siren. Louder? I'm sorry. Okay? Thank you. A siren will signal the start of the symbolic die-in. We will stand, sit, or lie down, whichever is right for each of us. Volunteers will chalk our outlines to symbolize the incineration of people and other beings. We will observe a silence, imagining the bombs on August 6th and August 9th, and the people who perished in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. After a 5-minute interval, the siren will signal us to return fully to the here and now. Really fully, let's return. And we will all stand, and Chizu Hamada. Yes? Wonderful Chizu Hamada will lead us in a traditional Japanese Bon dance. Chizu will explain the meaning of the Bon dance. We are all invited to join in, and the Bon dance will conclude the rally. Thank you all so much for being who you are and for being here.
Let me repeat one part that we said earlier at the beginning. If you are planning to risk arrest after the conclusion of the rally, there's a table, the table that's closest to us here, that has a sign-in sheet. It would be helpful to us organizers if you sign in if you plan to risk arrest. And there's also legal information there. We did meet the organizers, we did meet with the Livermore Lab security, and the Livermore police will do the announcement. The announcement sounds very intimidating, but it's the language that's in the regulation that they say every year. And if you do not wish to risk arrest at that time, please leave the street and come up on the sidewalk or the lawn area. Thank you.
As a nurse who's been doing actions this year in the heat a lot, and we've had people drop on us in Florida. Pay attention to hydrating. If you begin to feel hot, get out of the sun. And there's plenty of water, but stay hydrated. It's crucial.
All right. So the so cue the sirens. Okay, Scott, oh, he's talking to the security detail. Might be important. Okay, cue the sirens.